it up. It's the Record Machine with your host, Jimmy Hall.
When times get lost and your fear is real, try and move ahead through roads not clear. You always smile in life for the world to see, hoping for better days, and so they say, watching the hate around in so many ways. You always smile in life for the world to see. Hope for everyone, the cure is here to see. Seems that patience has left me. From north to south, from west to east, I'm masking all the doubt. We're free. We're black and blue sometimes. Pieces get taken away. You feel like a child in life, scared of what you see. Hanging around in closer circles. Why does it have to be this way? Sunlight that shines so bright for the world to see. Hope for everyone, the cure is here to see. Seems that patience has left me. From north to south, from west to east, I'm masking all the doubt. We're free.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome singer-songwriter Chuck Furtado. Chuck, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Jimmy?
Doing
Good to
pretty
hear your voice.
good to hear you too. How are you, buddy?
You always have a good radio voice. I listen to your shows. So.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I liked a couple of your recent guests. They were pretty cool.
Yeah, I try to mix it up a lot. You know, I
Yeah.
don't stick to same genre. You know what I mean?
No, I like that. So,
The weather here it's 80 degrees here in North Myrtle
Lucky
Beach
duck.
and sunny.
lucky duck.
How about you?
It's 60. It's going to dip down to about 48 tonight.
Now you're in Mass, right?
Yeah, I'm like near Boston, south of Boston, and so we've had a cold spring, which is fine because we haven't had one in a long time. When I grew up here, we had them every year, but different climate changes or whatever is going on.
So
kind of.
So you
I'm
grew
sorry.
up there
Oh yeah,
whole life?
Born, raised. I call it born, raised, and sentenced. Yeah.
Wow. Red Sox fan?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. You must have been super stoked when they started winning in the 2000s, huh?
Yeah, when we broke the Babe Ruth curse. So.
Yeah. They were down 3-0 against the Yankees and came back and beat them.
In their house.
In their house. I was pissed because I'm a Yankee fan.
I'm sorry.
I grew up in New Jersey. I lived there for 47 years. So I'm a Yankee fan, and for
Jets
football,
or
I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
Wow, that's weird. Usually New Jersey goes with the Jets or the Giants.
Nope. Buffalo Bills.
Wow. Look, now you got them on top, and we're hurting, so we suck now. But it's our turn. It's our turn to suck.
Yeah, well, I
You know?
think in a couple of years they'll return to winning, a lot more than they are now. I mean, that kid Mac Jones is pretty good, right?
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's solid. He's accurate. And he got the crap kicked out of him last year. He hasn't had a real receiver, but now we have Parker. So that'll be good. And then, Bill's draft picks are terrible. We feel he's going to retire soon. So he's setting things up for his two boys that work there. And
Josh, right?
so I think it's Steven Belichick and his other son, who they never even talk about. He's on the staff. Josh McDaniels went to Denver. He's now the head coach.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, which we hate because now we have Matt Patricia, who's going to be heir apparent.
Wow.
And he did such a terrible job in Detroit. And so there's a lot going on. But, we had a great 20-year run, no complaints.
Yeah, stop being spoiled, man.
I'm not. I know. I'm agreeing with you, man.
Well, I was spoiled with my Yankees, so I mean, we won a lot there in the '90s, and then we just got that one in the. Well, actually, we got two. We got
how many championships you guys got?
27. But
all right.
we
Let's
won
just
in.
leave it there.
Yeah, we won in the 2000s. We beat the Mets in 2000 in the World Series, the Subway Series.
Yeah.
And then in 2009 we won. So again, that was the last time we won. So
Yeah, but you guys are killing it this year.
yeah, well, it's going to come down to pitching. It always seems to come down to pitching during the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys can hit home runs all they want, but if their bats go cold when it counts, it's not gonna mean anything.
You witnessed that last year.
Oh yeah, and the year before.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up. You do it.
So tell me a little bit about your music background. At what age did you start playing, and what instruments, and did you have a band?
Yeah, actually, what happened was my dad, he brought home, I was, about 12, and he brought home a bass guitar. Mm-hmm. And the bass was like this, cheap, Fender. It wasn't even a Fender. It was one of those things you saw. I don't know where he got it. He could have got it from a yard sale. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought it to me. It was missing a string. So I remember it like yesterday for some reason. And then because I was excited to get it. And so I had, I went to a music store, got the strings and tried to figure it out. That took forever. I figured it out. And then I had to get like a cheapy amp. And then I started learning things. And I do what every other musician's ever done is they learn their first song, and it's usually Smoke on the Water,
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun. It's the easiest one to learn. So I did that. That was the first time I played, any type of, attempt. And then I just went from there. And then what I did was I was listening to other people's music.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the time, British rock dominated the world.
Mm-hmm.
The Beatles, obviously, I start there, and I can start there and stop there actually. But the acts that were coming out, Queen and Elton John, and it just went on and on. And the music was just incredible. There was so much competition. It was nice to see. So when I'm learning, I'm learning from, I think, probably the most talented writing super bands.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would listen, to music, and I'd try to learn it by ear. So it was a process, but I noticed that when I was trying to read music books, my ear was better. And that's how I learned. I can't read or write music.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is done by ear. And so when I write a song and I actually record it, what I'll do is I'll have chord lines. I don't know, not everyone knows what a chord is. Mm-hmm. For the layman people out there, a chord is, a sequence of where you put your strings on the guitar up on the bridge of the guitar and then play. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much, what from ear I translate to that. and then I put a sequence, and then I'll go into a recording studio and do that. The interesting thing is when I need someone that play an instrument that I can't, for instance, piano.
Mm-hmm.
I can write piano, but I can't play it.
Wow.
So what happens is if I, get a studio musician, pianist, and I talk to them, they're from right out of Berkeley. And I don't know if you if I ever heard of Berkeley College of Music in Boston, but
yeah.
Oh, of course you have, but maybe some of your listeners haven't. It's really a huge music school in the United States. So when I was in Boston, these guys couldn't do it. So I had to write out chords, and we'd have to work it out. And we were coming from two different approaches. And that was really cool and interesting, And then we'd get to a final outcome. But it was interesting. I didn't have the music theory, which a lot of musicians talk about. And it's a sequence of chords and scales. And there's certain things that they learn within that theory that an ear musician will violate. Meaning, I'll put a major chord, like an A major chord, or, and I'll go out of that chord sequence and do a minor chord, So they'll be like, you can't play a minor chord there. And I'm like, yeah, well, it sounds good, with the melody I wrote. What do you think? And then they're like, So it's really nice. That was really nice collaborating with them. And when I do need a studio musician, what have you, and then working things out, it's really cool. It's just amazing how two different people with two different approaches can get to a final outcome and be happy. So
very cool. I believe
but
it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Getting back to the bass, I got our sequence here. So then what happened was within 6 months, my best friend, Chuck Stilfen, who, had a good career in music, well-known band when I went to college, he continued on with a band called Gang Green.
Wow.
They were hardcore punk. And,
sound like it.
Hardcore punk, but, if you go on YouTube or whatever, that huge following, what have you. But anyways, I went to college, so back to that time, he picked up a guitar, and I said, why don't you get a guitar? I'll play bass. And so we went to school together. So we, travel home, and I'd go over to his house after school, or he'd come to my house, and we'd play together, and we try to figure things out. I know that was a different world, but that's what we did, and we did it like all the time, So like within a year or so, we're like, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to, put a band together. We secured a drummer named Steve Duroni, and we did that. And then the next thing you know, we're all three of us are practicing from upstairs down into the basement, making noise. So, we learned set songs, where you put songs into different sets. We had a certain amount of songs. And then, we would try to play somewhere, and it was difficult because no one knew us and we were kids, So I remember our first gig, someone came up to me and said, my friend's, daughter's having a wedding, and, he'd like to come over and listen to you guys on the weekend and see if he'd want to hire you. Okay. So we're like, wow, that's cool. So he came over on a Saturday, and I remember he came in and he heard one of our songs. We were playing an Ozzy Osbourne tune, So,
very cool.
I know. So he comes in and he's like, wow, you guys are all set, We're like, yes. So we had this wedding, coming up in like 3 weeks. And so we practiced for it. We went to the wedding reception and we played. But the younger people really liked it, but the older people hated it. We just weren't we weren't that wedding band. Like, we were like listening to a concert, not dance music. So it was like our first gig and all that. But, I still like laughed that, the guy hired us because, we weren't set up to do all dance music. I mean, we could do a couple songs, et cetera. But we got through that, and then we just, carried on from there. So that's how it all started.
What was the name of the band?
Monterey.
Very
cool. After Monterey Pop Festival. We were huge Jimi Hendrix fans. So, and I just, I watch him now today, and I'm still amazed, how great he was.
Yeah.
And his music will live on forever. It's just phenomenal. So, my guitarist really liked him. So, Monterey, yeah, that'd be cool. We don't have it. So that's where we went with that. And then we continued to go on and pick up, other gigs, clubs, music, dances and things like that, even though we had to learn some more music songs, but we're predominantly still listening, music, like Pink Floyd and things like that. So, we went from there and, we had a good run,
Yeah. Who would you say your influences are?
The band at that time or now?
From the beginning up till now.
Oh, okay. Wow. So at the beginning, at the time, Chuck really liked Pink Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And I did too. I mean, they were just dominating the charts with their albums. And he loved David Gilmour. And I liked bands such as the Kinks. And there were real fun, catchy songs to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a lot of the pop rock. So there was a whole host of bands. And then the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, they're great.
Phenomenal. And I can still put on any of their tracks. Sweet Home Alabama, and Leonard Skinner did that. And then, the Allman Brother Band, just tremendous songs. We did that.
Mm-hmm.
We did, Ozzy Osbourne songs. We did a few Rush songs, which they were like a new phenomenon. Like no band ever came out like them, with Geddy Lee in his voice.
Yeah, he's a great bass player.
Oh, tremendous. And Neil Peart on drums. It was just...
I mean, even Alex is a great guitar player to this day.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So we had so much to choose from, Now, like, and then going forward, we ran into the Clash, and that was all, that was a different vibe. That was, it was kind of in between what we were playing and, the Sex Pistols, so it was like, we never heard that before. And so we started playing some of their stuff, and, we did have a couple of Sex Pistols songs that we played. It horrified a lot of people at the time. It really wasn't accepted when we started playing. So, we went through a period where it was now deemed as classic rock. Then we got into like alt rock, and we did touch on punk a little bit. So that's where we went with it.
You left music at age 19 to attend college and then returned to music at the end of 2015. Was that a hard decision to make? And what made you decide to come back after all this time?
Yeah, that was a very tough decision for me, because at the time, Steve wasn't really playing with us. I think he pursued more of a working career, a drummer, and me and Chuck were still, playing. We were playing with different guys in Dorchester, and we were trying to figure out the next step for us. So we were like, kind of like, we want to make it in music. I don't think we're going to college. That's why I took a year off after I graduated high school. And my parents, we were floundering basically at that time. And it was nothing to do with how we played or our skills. We just weren't finding that next step for us at the time. And I remember my parents came to me and they said, Chuck, we don't want you to be a poor musician the rest of your life. And we're going to just tell you now that if you go to college, we're really going to help you a lot with it. And I go, oh, yeah. And they're like, yeah. But to be honest with you, if you continue, I don't know if we're going to offer this to you next year or the year after. So they really put me in a hard position, So, you're going through the stages of really not where you want to be next. So I made the hard decision to go to college and get a business degree. So I went to Roger Williams College in Rhode Island, Well, actually, a lot of Jersey people and New York people went there, friends of mine. So I went there for 4 years and had a tremendous experience. I got a good education, and from there I went into finance. Worked for Hancock right out of college in the big tower in Boston, and then I went into mortgage banking. And so I used the right side of my brain, which is actually I'm very glad I did. As we go through life, you make choices, and when you make a choice of moving away from something you're really passionate about, you always have a regret.
Mm-hmm.
So in the back of my mind, I'm like, I should have stayed with music, And then I imagine if I stayed in music, Jimmy, I'd be like, I should have went to college. We always want something we haven't pursued yet or what have you. So, in the end, it was the right decision. Because I had a family, 3 great kids. Getting them on their way, and they're all going in the right direction. Thank God. So, and I learned so much, about contracts and avoiding risk and not making mistakes, things like that. So that was helpful. So the right side of my brain was tuned up and well-defined. Mm-hmm. And, about 5 years ago, I as my kids are getting older, I'm realizing, I have a little more time for me. So I said, I want to give it a whirl again. So I said, you know what, I want to go back into music, but I'm going to do it a little different this time. Mm-hmm. And I was this might be a different approach. I don't know if any of your guests or you've talked to thousands of people, but I said, I'm going to write really high quality songs, the best I possibly can do. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go into a studio first, not second. A lot of artists and bands will hit the road first. Mm-hmm. They'll organically grow a fan base, which still makes sense. But I wanted to write high quality songs in studios and then start releasing them and basically get a lot of different people's opinions of them.
Right.
Because when you write a song, you don't know if it's good or not. I mean, I can think it's really good, but until other people hear it and you put it out in the universe, you really don't know.
Right. So
I wanted to know if I was going in the right direction. I came out with Tomorrow's and Yesterday, which was my first song. I came out with that and people go, wow, that's, pretty good. I'm like, really? So because I was so out of it for so long. Mm-hmm. And so I released that. I got a good response to it. And so I just, continued on, Our Love Is Stronger, my second track. And then someone says, you're going in the right direction, people in the industry. And then third song it came out with She Has a Lot to Say, which is kind of a fast, upbeat song. And a little bit of like the middle. I didn't mean to write it, but it has an ELO vibe in the middle. So it's amazing how things can channel into your wherever it comes from,
Right.
So that, and then I came out with Reach You, my fourth track. Mm-hmm. And I felt that Reach You at that point, when I came out with that song, I felt that started to put me into a different category of songwriting. Mm-hmm. After Reach You, I got approached by a music publisher in London, Stephen Carter, who's my music publisher. Mm-hmm. And he ran across my 4 tracks and called me from London and said he wanted to be my publisher. And I was like, what?
That's cool.
Because I thought, maybe I'd have to write a full album and, wait and then maybe hit the road. And then, I did it in reverse. So I go back and hit the road and get some attention to it. So he actually gets people signed, and also he mostly does a lot of TV and film, mm-hmm. Places songs. So I'm like, this, after he checked me out and I checked him out, that he's for real and all that. But we've had a good relationship. So after Reach You, I came out with more like an instrumental track and Moving On, and I actually wrote Moving On 2 versions, one with lyrics and one without.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I wrote Moving On, I had this idea because I met Steve that TV and film, maybe I should, make it, a song that could be used, different scenes. I think that kind of polluted my head with the song. But anyways, so I did that one. And then I came out with Hope. Hope is, I did that during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was shut down in Boston and everywhere. No schools, what have you. And so everybody was freaking out, everybody in the world. And everybody was locked in the house. And when's this going to end? Is this going to kill us? The vaccines weren't out. Everybody was high, stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So I played guitar when I could. If I wasn't going to the grocery store or the pharmacy, that's the only places you could go with masks, So I wrote melodies. That's what I do. I write a lot of different melodies,
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is I do it right on my iPhone. So like if it comes to my head, I'll either hum it into my iPhone voice memos so I don't forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I look at my memos now, I get about 117 different melodies in it.
Wow.
So melodies come to me, I think, well. And I was told by another guitarist in the industry, who I have a lot of respect for, that if you can write good melodies, you can write a good song. And so I listened to that. And then as I'm listening to other greats, people out there that are better than me, I can see that that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you write a melody that's not, people can't remember, then, you're just banging your head against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what people want to hear. And then, from there, then Hope, Steve Carter submitted it for me. And then what happened was Wise Music Group. It's a global TV film distribution entity.
Mm-hmm.
They got offices on all the main areas, New York, Hong Kong, LA, London, Denmark.
Wow.
And so my previous tracks were all turned down by them. So I said at that time when I was writing Hope, I'm going to write a song that kills me to get past Wise Music Group. They were kind of like my bar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into a studio in Boston. I could find one studio that would take me in the studio to record it. And I went in. There was actually a studio in Somerville. It's a little bit, north of Boston, but it's there. It's, that Boston scene.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was I went in, I had to go in a back door and I couldn't talk to the engineer. He was on the other side of the hallway. And so we could speak to each other through the headphones when we're doing the work. It was just crazy.
Wow.
But it was exciting. It was kind of cool. It was like, I'm recording this song, during COVID. It's going to be something I'll never forget. And I'm I'm in here working during this, just because I want to get it done. And, John, who was my engineer, took a chance, but we never got to see each other because we didn't want to infect each other. It was that real initial wave that we were all freaked out about,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the session went extremely well. Then he pretty much did what he could, like a pre-master. And then actually I found an engineer in Nashville, Chris Moore, who actually did the final master. And he's been doing it, 45 years.
Wow, cool.
And the production sound, the clarity of the track,
Mm-hmm.
You can hear it. It's different, from either my previous songs or a lot of songs that you hear now.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought all these techniques and really not to manipulate, not to really, it's hard to explain, some slap back and all these other engineering terms that he used, and what have you. It just put it over the top. So I was very pleased with that. And I was very pleased that, Wise Music Group accepted it. It's on the catalog, and I'm just hoping for the right TV and film to come across it and use it. And so I'm in the right place. It's just that with COVID that's happened, a lot of, when I call about the track, how's it going? Everybody looking at it, they're like, we're getting busier. And, we lost a year and a half with production and unions on sets. And I'm like, I know. But I was just pleased that happened. And then now Hope is actually getting a lot of airtime, in Boston.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I was pleased with that because it was another goal when I was a teenager and I left, and my regrets. I said to myself, if I can write an original song that could be played on legit FM, I died and went to heaven. So it happened, and I was listening to it and it came across, and I'm listening to my song, playing on the radio. It was like the biggest thing when you were a teenager, you couldn't imagine, like, oh, imagine one day if I was ever on there, and, So what happened was, it was good reinforcement for me. So now as I continue, I'm working on a song now. It just taught me, Jimmy, that where I started and where I've already progressed to, I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, so, you evolved from when you started.
Right, and I'm always a person that wants to learn things. So, and I don't have not even close to all the answers. So, I listen to different people that are in the industry. I think we were talking briefly, you and I, about Kimberly Dom, and she's a pro, elite pro, and she was kind enough to discuss what I was writing and what she thought of it, and so it was really cool. So her and some other people that have been in the industry for a long time said, you can write. I'm like, oh, thank you. You can get really isolated just being a solo writer. And so it's good to get, opinions of people that have been on the road for, decades, So I try to listen to them. If I make mistakes in the past on songs, which I have, I try to correct it the best of my ability, But I'm learning. It's amazing. Just going from track to track, I'm learning a lot, and I'm excited about writing songs. And my next one, I'm like, my goal is to write a better song than Hope, and I want to get better, not go backwards.
Well, that's going to do it for part 1 of this podcast. Stay tuned for part 2. In the meantime, check out this great tune.